back with breaking news. A Trump-appointed federal judge in Texas ruled that the president unlawfully invoked the Alien Enemies Act and blocked the administration from quickly deporting some alleged gang members. I want to quickly bring in Priscilla Alvarez, who's got the details. Priscilla, tell us more.
Dana, this is a significant blow for the Trump administration, which has wanted to lean on this sweeping wartime authority, the Alien Enemies Act. Well, a federal judge in Texas saying just moments ago that the president exceeded his authority by invoking this law that was intended to be used during wartime. Let me read you a snippet of what he said. He said, quote, allowing the president to unilaterally define the conditions when he may invoke the AEA, the Alien Enemies Act, and then summarily declare that those conditions exist would remove all limitations to the executive branch's authority under the AEA and would strip the courts of their traditional role of interpreting congressional statutes to determine whether a government official has exceeded the statute's scope. It goes on to say the law does not support this position. The position, Dana, that the administration has taken is that Tren de Aragua, that Venezuelan gang, is a foreign terrorist organization and that they are invading the United States. And so the administration has said that they can use the authority based on that. Well, this federal judge is not buying it, according to this opinion. And Dana, while there have been legal challenges across the country over the use of this act, this is again the first time that a federal judge is weighing in on whether or not the president exceeded his authority. ACLU's Lee Gallant told me in a statement that this is the first court, quote, to squarely rule on the fundamental question of whether a wartime authority can be used during peacetime, and properly concluded it cannot. Now, as far as for the immigrants who are detained in this judge's district, they cannot be deported under this authority as of now. But again, that is constrained to those in his district. But of course, Dana, this is going to launch perhaps several more steps in the court system when, again, this federal judge says that Trump exceeded his authority to invoke the Alien Enemies Act.
Before I let you go, Priscilla, just on that note, is it just these particular people who are alleged to be part of a gang that can't be deported or sent to that notorious prison in El Salvador, or is this potentially more broad?
That's correct. It is those individuals, Venezuelan migrants, who have been alleged to be part of this gang, who are in this district, who cannot be deported under this authority. There are various other legal challenges playing out around the country as to others who may be eligible based off the administration's determination, but that is who it affects as of this afternoon.
Okay. Thank you so much, Priscilla. I appreciate that. Just to emphasize a couple of things. First of all, that it is a first. It's the first time we have seen a federal judge say that on its merit, the Alien Enemies Act should not be used in this case. But it's also the who of it all. Judge Fernando Rodriguez of the Southern District of Texas was appointed by Donald Trump.
He was back in 2017, the president's first year in office. And this is something that we really shouldn't have to say because a federal judge rules as they rule, but it has become part of the fight in all of this, if it's an Obama-appointed judge or whatnot. So it was a Trump-appointed judge. And the reason it's significant for what Priscilla was laying out there is because it's more difficult for the White House to sort of go after this judge, as he has been doing on Judge Boasberg here in Washington and others. But I think a bigger question is this, likely to end up in the Supreme Court or something, and does the White House follow this? As of now, the president, says that he does follow the rulings and orders of judges. So we shall see. But 1798, that's when the Alien Enemies Act was signed, only used 3 times in wartime. So the minute that was signed and happened, which was on a Saturday, you knew that it would be challenged, and this is it.
Yeah, they are not surprised by any of this. This is certainly the biggest blow, but this is the biggest blow in a series of setbacks in the courts for the Trump administration. But what I'm hearing inside is that there's the legal piece of it, right? And they will fight this in the courts. But for Trump in particular, just as important is the messaging and communications fight on this. It's going to be tougher because this is a Trump-appointed judge, but they are saying, and you heard Stephen Miller, I was in the briefing room, you were there today, say that judges are trying to restrict the president's power. They're trying to play Secretary of State, and they cannot do that. Stephen Miller has his own legal theories about how this should all play out, but the main thing that they are going to do is hammer the messaging on this, and they think that is the best way to win in the court of public opinion right now as they wait for the Supreme Court to ultimately take this up.
And we saw this with the president yesterday in the cabinet meeting, right, when he was speaking with Pam Bondi, saying that you've got
We
a
have
couple
judge
of
problems.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you've got judge problems. We saw J.D. Vance talk about the limitations of the judges to subvert the president's executive power, particularly during an emergency, which they're casting now. But this is the first big blow, and this isn't a great deal, right? This isn't a great look for the president. This is back-to-back now, 2 days of two of his most central themes of his 2024 campaign. Yesterday, we had some sour economic news. Today, he gets a setback on the immigration front as well. Whether or not he can message and continue to, which is what he's done to the public, that judges are staying in his way and he's keeping people safe, remains to be seen.
Caitlin Polantz joins us live now from Washington. So, Caitlin, what more do we know here?
Zane, this is the sort of opinion from a judge, an order from a judge that we have been waiting to see what the courts would do. This is a judge in the Southern District of Texas who's saying that Donald Trump cannot use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to remove people who are allegedly members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, to deport them out of the United States and send them to a Salvadoran prison, as he has tried to do at least twice so far in this administration. There have been several legal challenges, several ongoing court cases around people in this type of group, the people who are alleged to be Tren de Aragua, that the Trump administration wants to send out of the United States. And none of these cases have gotten this far. This is a judge looking at the use of the Alien Enemies Act, which the judge notes has only been used in 3 wars in the past, times of war of the United States: the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II, especially after the bombing of Pearl Harbor in the United States. And this situation where Trump says we may be in a time of war, wanting to use the Alien Enemies Act, the judge says it doesn't pass muster. This is not an invasion in the way that Congress was looking at the use of that sort of law, the Alien Enemies Act. So what is happening now is these men, Venezuelans, being held in the Southern District of Texas, they are not going to be able to be deported under the Alien Enemies Act, as the Trump administration wanted to use. They are people that just narrowly avoided being deported in March under this. And these cases like this will continue on. There are cases in other states, Nevada, Colorado, Pennsylvania, other parts of Texas, where people who are being represented by the ACLU are challenging the use of the Trump administration, the Trump administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act. And that challenge is very likely to go on in multiple courts, ultimately for the Supreme Court to look at and determine, is this wartime provision able to be used by the Trump administration? As of right now, for these people in Southern Texas, it cannot be. It is a very, very important decision because it is the first of its kind in this country, and an important interpretation of what the Trump administration can and cannot do as they are being so aggressive with their immigration policies. Zane?
Right, Caitlin Polantz live for us. Thank you so much.